Hello and welcome to episode 20 of the Fridays on Excellence show, where we dig into 6 areas of life and see what we can find to become more excellent. My name is Scott Kokenauer and I'm your host, and I'm so glad that you've taken time out to tune in. I'm going to set us going on Clubhouse here. And so we are currently recording live on YouTube and Facebook and live on Clubhouse. So search for Serving Strong and join the room titled My Story going on right now. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you for listening and welcome to you as well. This episode will be a bit of a departure from our normal outline. If you've been following the show, you know the standing agenda includes 3 coaching questions, 2 pillars of excellence, 1 takeaway, 0 cost. 3, 2, 1, 0. Today, however, we are going to go through the journey that I have traveled, which led to the beginning of what I now do for a living and how it makes a difference in the souls that make up my market. I'm going to begin with the June 2015 spark. Without going into detail about what led to the spark, I will tell you that it was quite a disruption in my life and marriage. I was a 50-year-old without a career. I had served in one company for over half my life at that time. That company ran out of cash and we closed it down after a 44-year run. The closing of the business was intense, to say the least. Think about it. I was the CEO. I was the youngest of 4 brothers, and we also had a younger sister. It was our family's business that Dad had started in 1970. We built churches. From my best calculation, we completed nearly 500 million square feet of space for worship and ministry. We worked with over 740 projects over 44 years. So yeah, it was a disruptive spark. It was an intense season of my life, and in the life of my precious wife, who landed a job in a very different industry with an incredibly steep learning curve. This spark ushered us into bankruptcy. Not 1 bankruptcy, but 3. You see, we believed in what we were doing. We were building churches. We had over $20 million of work in design backlogged to go into construction. But we were running out of cash, and we were up to our limit in our line of credit. Everything hung on one project that, if it started in June of 2015, would have bridged us until we could start construction on the backlog. A devastating event caused in the church that we were hoping to start caused such a delay in the project that the handwriting on the wall became extremely clear. It was time to shut everything down. This led to one of the most difficult decisions of my life. Do I take my family through bankruptcy or not? We ultimately decided that it was the best thing that we could do at the time. So we struggled through the humiliating process laid out for persons who declare bankruptcy in this country. Like we didn't know what we were doing financially. And maybe we didn't. I don't know. Nevertheless, we presided over our personal bankruptcy, the business bankruptcy, as well as another business our family had at the time. This process took us to December 2015, when the bankruptcy was discharged. Now, during this same month that the bankruptcy was discharged, I met what would become a lifelong friend and client. Time will not permit all that took place as God orchestrated our connection. But I will tell you this. It was and has continued to this day to be one of the brightest spots of the journey for me. Nelson, if you're listening, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I connected and started working with another former client who has also become a lifelong friend. He challenges my thinking, and honest to God, I don't know who gets more out of the relationship, these two gentlemen or me. For the next 4 years plus, I entered a very dark wilderness. It was as Cody Isabel on LinkedIn would describe my cave in my hero journey. A lot like Tony Stark, who was placed in a cave and managed to create Iron Man to emerge from the cave with a new and challenging life mission. However, for me, it wasn't fictional, it was real. Remember, I was a 50-year-old suddenly without a career. I had had no need to update my resume. I had no idea how to do that. If when I did go to update it, I had no idea what to say. I was in one job for over 24 years. I had to keep positive. I had to keep hopeful, but I was desperate. With the exception of the precious moments with my wife, I felt alone. I can remember all the guys my age who were looking toward retirement, spending time traveling and doing odd jobs just because they could. And here I was, essentially having to rebuild my entire life and nest egg. I spent money on marketing programs as I grasped at any way to earn a living. I tried evergreen webinars that looked like I was already successful and broadcasting from a beach somewhere in the tropics. Over time, it just wasn't authentic. It created a bad taste in my mouth. Because of time, I will fast forward to another spark that took place in August of 2020 during the pandemic. Remember, this would have been 5 years since the major spark of June 2015. My wife informed me on August 6th that she was celebrating her 5th-year anniversary at her job. Normally, you would think this would be a time of rejoicing, and it was kind of. God had provided this income and health insurance for us all this time, but it hit me like a ton of bricks. I went on several walks and thought and prayed. Then I had an epiphany. My wife needed certainty. The nebulous nature of what I was trying to start, combined with the uncertainty of when the pandemic of 2020 was going to end, it had to be taking its toll on her. So I came to a conclusion and I shared it with her. I told her on August 7th, 6 a.m. in 2022, she will wake up with the option to work and not the requirement to work. This would be the morning after her 7th anniversary. And this began what is now a 2-year business plan made of 8 90-day sprints, which I am at the end of sprint number 2 as I record this. And I got to tell you, it's going fantastically well. Why? Because I am focused, I am clear headed, I'm no longer desperate, but determined. I'm no longer frenzied, but I'm focused. And I'm already seeing success. From this determination and focus, things became clearer for me. All of a sudden, I had so much I could have put in my resume back then, but I didn't realize it. The experiences of 24 years as a COO of a multi-million-dollar national family business, the experience of being a cautionary tale for other businesses, and the importance of cash flow. The 2.5 years of serving a team as a CEO in a major reinvention effort has all given me insight into the weight that a business owner carries on their shoulders. While I'm not at the levels that define my life at August 2022, I am making real and definite progress. I have a purpose. I have a job to do. And I trust that this story as imperfect as it has been conveyed to you here, is a source of inspiration and hope for you. If you're currently in your own cave, brought on by your own spark that has disrupted your life, I hope that you take heart. It's not the end. There is always hope. There is always a future. You have hope. You have a future, just like I do, and just like I always did. Thank you so much for listening to me on this unusual episode of Fridays on Excellence.